You're listening to Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast.
Now introducing your host of Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran, the one-man show Bryan Roof.
What's going on, friends and fam? Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm excited for another great interview. But before we get into it, if you guys haven't had a chance, go check out the website, EDASUSMCvet.com. On there, you could watch all the episodes from season 1, season 2, and it's kind of easier to go check out how you can actually go select the episode that you would actually like to watch. As well as I have some nonprofits and veteran-owned businesses on there that you can also check out. All right, so my next guest, guys, is someone I serve with, and I love having people I serve with because we have great stories, a lot of great stories to cover. Bryan Parkman and myself, we served kind of the later half of my career. It's about the last 2 years over at MEF Headquarters Group. And I'm excited to have him on and talk about all of our experiences. But here's my buddy, Bryan Parkman. What up, bud?
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, man. Shit. Just excited to have you on, man. That's for sure.
Likewise.
It's always fun to have people that we've actually served with on the show because stories are a little better,
Yes,
and we got plenty
recollection,
of
yes.
them. We got plenty of them. But hey, bro, let's go ahead and let everybody know about who Mr. Parkman is, and talk about where you grew up, why you chose the Marine Corps.
Oh,
Talk about how your Marine Corps career was and how you and I crossed paths, and a little bit of
yeah.
maybe about some of the good stuff that we've done, and then talk about what you got going on now, man. But the floor is now yours, bro.
Oh, great, great. Well, thank you for this opportunity first and foremost. Let me tell you, born and raised out here in Travis Air Force Base. Grew up a military brat for the first probably 6 years of my life. Mom and dad got married out in the Philippines, and then they decided to come out here to Travis, and then we moved out to Okinawa, Japan, where we spent 5 years of my life. Don't remember it too much, but I have the photos to go back. And so fast forward, my father, hardworking man, he kind of left the military on different terms, but he got an honorable discharge. And things that happened with him, he withheld for years until he passed. As he didn't want to talk about it, but I found out, and he's basically had a choice to continue on in the military or get out. And so basically, long story short, we transitioned back to California, and then we stayed in South City, South San Francisco, and then Oakland, and then we got nestled into the Fairfield, California, essentially not too far away from where I was born. So my father didn't have a really good plan outside the military, and I can correlate to my experience and how long it took me to find a stable full-time job. And so what he did is he sent us out to Mississippi and for a little bit so he can get his plan together as a man. What am I going to do post-military? Didn't have a plan, didn't have a solid job or anything. Got into the Federal Civil Service working at Travis. And then he just felt like that's not just enough to survive. So he ended up getting a job at Chevron. Working at Chevron is a oil, I don't know what you call it. He worked at what's called the Alky racks. He worked there for about 23 years. My mom, coming over, married to a vet, she was entitled to his benefit, and she decided to get into the DOD, which is, if you remember, if you remember when we were in the service, PX, BX, or something like that. She worked for the gas station at Travis, and then she transitioned over to retail at the BX at Travis. So she spent 20 years before she retired, who's also passed. So I'll explain that. So there's the foundation. They had a hard time when they first began, and then it took my father about 7 years after he got out of the military to get permanent full time. And so fast forward, I was a senior in high school, and my buddy Jeff, whom I'm still friends with to this day, I was the best man and everything. And I was all but ready to join the Air Force, and then he decided to, hey, I want to get you. You want to try this thing called the Marine Corps? I said, really? It really was like on a sort of a, hey, just go for it. And I said, sure, why not? And so I actually ran into my recruiter. His name is Staff. We call him Staff Sergeant Willis. I ran into him at church the other day, and we just got instantly connected. And he's the one that kind of facilitated me from Air Force to Marine Corps. And I got sworn in a delayed entry program in Oakland halfway through my senior year in high school, and then I really was going to wait a year, and then I really wanted to just branch out and decide to go out and spread my wings in the get out of the house, And so I joined the Marine Corps. I did my, I think you did it too, Camp Johnson in North Carolina. You went to school there? Okay, so we all went to the
Oh
same
yeah.
place. Yeah, that was a trip. It was this like after Marine Corps combat school after I graduated boot
Did you have to
camp.
do any like guard duty or anything like that when you got there first, or because like
No, no,
we all got stuck too because our class didn't pick up right away. So when we were
no.
there, I got like color guard.
Yeah, I didn't do color guard. I'll tell you about how I ended up doing guard. It wasn't the way that I wanted to do it, but I was voluntold, so I was like,
Right? No, I mean everything's damn near voluntold.
yeah, yeah. You always got that reminder. You signed a dotted line. How many times did we
Right.
hear that from what's his name, Staff Sergeant Hill?
Oh yeah.
Don't forget where you at. And so, me and him didn't get along. So that story's coming. So um, I really wanted to go back to Okinawa, and that's what I did is I joined the third they call it food not food service but third FSSG in Okinawa, third MEF.
Force Third Force Service Support Group.
Yes, there
Yeah.
we go. I forgot the
Yeah.
name, man. It was like I just
Yeah,
remember
because
we
I was
were.
part of first FSSG.
Yeah,
It's a battalion. Yeah.
yeah. And so my first year you're gonna remember this. You remember I like to go salsa dancing, and you would always
Oh
be.
yeah, bro. Yeah, definitely remember you and the dancing.
Yes, and so I was just always that shy boy in high school, and then I decided to learn something new, salsa dancing. And my roommate, whom I'm still friends with to this day, Nerio Romero, he was my first roommate. So he would have um, remember how we talk in acronyms or last names. Hey, Brooks and
Right.
another person, I forgot her name. So they would come over to our room and they'd show me some salsa moves, and I was like, all right, cool, let's start going out more. So we started going out more. Um, but my tour in Okinawa came short because I was missing home, and missing home was always I was like, could I go to Lejeune? I had a choice to go to Hawaii and Pendleton. I chose Pendleton. Um, I would have stayed in Okinawa, but I didn't want to feel like staying in Okinawa because I wanted to get my education benefits and whatnot. I wanted to go home and be with family. During my tour in Okinawa, I was deployed out to Hokkaido, Japan, where we did an artillery relocation it was a joint effort with the Japanese Army. And so I was doing supply work out there with that unit, but spending a year in Japan versus what I did when I was in the military, my military brat in my early days, it was like it is totally different because you get to expose to the nightlife, more of the nightlife, all the bad stuff. And I actually kept myself clean, out there, and I just got into scuba diving and salsa dancing. That's my saving grace. A lot of the troops out there get themselves in trouble with the law enforcement.
Yeah, glad I never went out there.
Yeah. And if you got forward deployed to Thailand, you'd be involved in there, or you go to Australia. Part of my deployment lasted about 2 or 3 months in Hokkaido, which was beautiful. Um, but we were met with some, sort of protests because of the knuckleheads that, like to get in trouble. And I wasn't one of them, but
Yeah, there's several that always like to ruin it for everybody.
yeah, so they didn't play around. I mean, it was so safe to walk around, um, Naha City when I was there, enjoying the nightlife. The best part of that experience was not so much the political red tape that you dealt with, but the camaraderie that you're going to see these people every day for a whole year in the barracks. And you couldn't go anywhere. So if you wanted to go somewhere, you could take the time off and go to Thailand, but you had restrictions because you didn't want to catch any diseases out there. You can go
Now, didn't
travel.
the Japanese police or something? They didn't carry weapons out there. They just knew like how to kick people's ass type shit. Like,
Pretty much, and the it's not the police that you have to worry about; it's the mafia. Uh,
oh, okay.
yeah, so hey, you know where not to go in Naha City and throughout the Okinawa, but it was great, the camaraderie out there. Most of the unit that I was with, we're still in contact to this day. So when I go to SoCal, just like you have that brotherhood with Ojeda and Grothy, the same type of we've been there for each other since. And then it wasn't until I think Andrews connected us all together that we I remember that message that Andrew sent to all of us to say, hey, it's really nice to catch up and all that stuff. And then we got it's just that I can't recall how many years ago we got reconnected with our unit. And so from there, I transitioned from Okinawa to Camp Pendleton, and we were at Main Side. And you remember being on Main Side at that
Nah,
time?
so I wasn't. So I when I got to the unit, we were already at the like right there
The
on the
other side.
beach, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, story is, and you'd have to ask Andrews. He knows about it. That whole side of the fiscal side of our operations for warehouse, the people that did the
The
back end work.
43s, the 3043s or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Every single one of them got busted down, including if you remember, we called
Casey.
them. Yes, me and
So
him did.
yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the background. There's Staff Sergeant Williams. There's another corporal in charge up front.
What were
Um,
these
at-
fools doing?
hey,
Whatever. Yeah,
what word on the street was how they had a handle on um, the money aspect of this, and then you know passing on. Oh, hey, I can get you this deal. It's very easy to be in supply because you're in charge of that entire inventory control. So you
they
get
got
your
caught up.
yup. They got
Oh,
caught up.
every one of them, huh? I mean,
Yes.
every single one. Oh gosh.
Yes, every single one of them, and I happen to be
Nice to be
really.
on the warehouse side on that during that venture.
Oh man, we were just cool. The warehouse operations at that time, because of where it was at on that side of Main Side, is they had their office, and then we had about three, I call them ports, where you could put supply in, and then a smaller warehouse. So it was a smaller warehouse, and it was his name Rodriguez, Taylor, myself, Staff Sergeant Williams, not Williams, but Staff Sergeant Williams is on the other side,
Was it
but it's
Bell
Staff
at the
Sergeant
time or
Hill.
no? Oh, it
Huh?
was Hill. It was Hill. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Hill
So
left for a while, didn't he? Because then he came back. Because when I
something
first
like
got to
that.
the unit, Cesar Hill wasn't there. It was Gunny Bell, and then
Something like that.
I
Something close
believe
to that.
Sergeant Bell was the like kind of the
Sergeant Bell came
warehouse.
along afterwards,
Yeah.
and so we were trying to I was trying to gather all of this. I mean, this is before we started doing the mobilization and getting all of that. That whole side got busted down. It took a while. Casey got busted down. Resendez got busted down. Um, I forgot who else, but
Was it
anybody
Stroud?
involved.
Was Stroud over there too during that time, or was that later?
Stroud came after the fact.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So Stroud was before the
Was
fact, but
Andrews part of it too?
I don't think so. He kept his nose clean.
Yeah, that's good. Well, sheesh.
Oh yeah, so you came in the aftermath, and
And you know what is crazy, bro, is it's funny. I came in after the math of all that stuff went down, and then when I left, some stuff popped off. I was like,
yes, I
gosh,
heard.
dang, bro.
I
So yeah,
heard.
go ahead, man. We'll get back to keep going.
Yeah, we'll get to that for sure
Yeah.
because the unit at this time was like, what's the best word that I can sum it up with? Dysfunctional. Forget about the political red tape and all that stuff. And um, at this time, I forgot at what point that I think Staff Sergeant Hill was there, and me and him just didn't see eye to eye at all. We Rodriguez, Taylor, and I, we'd be busting out some MJG, DJ Quick in the warehouse, and we be chilling, and then I think it all changed when 9/11 hit. The craziness in our shop, and then our shop expanded, and then that's Stroud came
That
in,
yeah.
Jimenez, Rubalcava,
Then me and Ojeda came together.
correct, and
Yeah.
then pretty solid, and then Gunny Bell. I forgot at what point he came in, and then
He
there's
was there already before I got there, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
when I first got there, it was the last of Captain Mitten. She was getting ready to leave.
Yes,
And then
the blonde,
after
the blonde.
her, right, after her, they brought in the freaking Lieutenant Miller, the boot
Yes,
butter bar. Yeah.
and
So
Captain Cologne.
yes, right.
Now I'm gonna see if you remember a story once we get over to Kuwait, because
Oh,
you and
I
I
do
know.
remember. Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Oh,
remember all the
because
I think so. Well, but yeah, keep
yeah,
going,
you're
bro.
gonna be like, oh my god.
uh,
So as dysfunctional as we are, and we getting the new 3043s coming in. There was Flanagan, Culpepper, Stroud. There was Grothy. There's Staff Sergeant Williams.
Ambries,
Yep,
she
yep.
was there.
Sergeant Ambrose.
Yep.
And so they came in after all these layoffs, because Resendez and I were roommates, but they let him go, and then I had the room to myself, and then there's Stroud, and then it was just chaotic. And then 9/11 happened. I remember Staff Sergeant Hill changed and then and then I forgot her name, as a gunny, as a African American gunny,
Torres.
female gunny.
Torres, I believe her last name was.
Yeah, and how we would always do those hikes and stuff. And we were like, man, this is just a little simple hump or hike, and they took it so serious. Like,
Oh, bro, remember the helicopter rides where they made a freaking and I came flying out of the thing and I fell. I don't know if you
yeah,
see me slip coming out.
hmm
Remember they took us like 20 miles out and we even
yeah,
got lost during this time
yeah,
frame trying to go back and it was like an extra long time. I mean,
yeah,
and we had
and
to go through
everybody,
water, everything, bro. I mean, it was rough.
yeah, and we're like, we were the coolest people in Kuwait. Wait a minute, let me take that back. We were the coolest before we get to Kuwait, and
Yeah.
so I know that we had long days and nights. I forgot his name. I know it was Growth. He was there and all that, but oh, I remember him. He was a short little brother. Um, he got booted. He was from Alabama. He's this African American dude. Right off the top of my tongue, I'm
Was
trying
he
to
a
remember.
3051?
I think so, and he was my roommate, but he got
Smith?
booted.
Was it Smith?
Mm-mm.
No, I'm not
um,
sure, bro. I mean,
but I remember him
we
because
did have some guys come and go.
yeah. So this dude, I remember. I mean, all the chaos, in us on our side was fine, but um, it was. I think the dysfunction brought us together, and in the end, because us troops were fine. It's just when we were dealing with the Sergeant Bell, Gunny Bell, Staff Sergeant Hill all at the same time, and
Mm.
it was
They
just
they
like
really tightened it up because I know when
yeah,
Ojeda and I got there, things were definitely different. Like I
mm-hmm,
first, and I didn't even room with the supply guys. They put me in with Motor T. I had two Motor T
mm-hmm,
um, roommates at the time, but
mm-hmm,
I felt like they were pretty strict. But I was used to something even worse than that. So for me, the grass was greener. You know what I mean? I was like, because I
yeah,
came from Supply Battalion, which people were calling that place like the plantation because, dude, they would just drove us like crazy over there,
mm-hmm,
and
and and
and
and
it
yeah,
was crazy.
and so we transitioned and we had long days and night. I remember all the dermo runs. You remember the dermo runs? That little flatbed
Oh
we had to take
gosh,
over
yeah.
to what we call recycle or surplus areas and going to all that stuff, and it was
Then,
great.
bro, it became Ojeda and me, and I'm sure you were out there was time to time painting boxes.
Oh, that was so
Freaking
boring. I was
oh
like,
man, wearing coveralls all the time and just
yeah.
and being out there. Then we started playing like home run derby and
Oh
things of
yeah.
that nature because we were just getting so bored
Oh, and
from
then
painting all the time.
we transitioned to
Loading containers.
yes, and getting ready for. We did personal effects. We did
Oh,
the cyclical inventories and whatnot. That just getting ready the preparation to going out to Camp Commando.
yeah, because you
And
came out after me, right? Because I mean, I got okay. So
hmm
like Jimenez kind of was, I think it was Jimenez and maybe even Rubicava.
hmm
They were both kind of sent like what was it? Maybe December of 2002, and
hmm
then I was another after them. They sent
hmm
me January 15th, 2003, and
hmm
then you guys came maybe what 2 weeks later. Did you come with
yes.
Ojeda and everybody else?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I was in denial when they said we're going, and I was like, I'm in my final year. Look, I'm hella serious. I was like,
yeah. I know.
look, because it was within 2 weeks before we got there, which is the Super Bowl with the we left right after the
Raiders
Super
and the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
Yes, I remember that.
So I remember that is because I was like, we only had 2 days to pack, so I
And
cleared
the
out my room
Buccaneers killed the Raiders.
big time.
Yeah, that was when Gruden left that year to the Bucks,
Yep, and
and
he won the Super Bowl,
yep. Definitely
and
remember it, bro.
I was just so in denial, and I'm not gonna lie, where I started having some issues with my sleep was being over there. You know how we were so lackadaisical with where I would say we were more tighter in commando than we were before we got there because
We had to,
yeah, and
and damn, all the shit we were doing, like
mm-hmm.
digging holes in the hottest weather, bro. Remember we were out there
I
just
remember
dying.
that because I can't wait because I
Oh,
me and him just didn't get along, and
yeah.
I remember I was like, "Yo, this ain't that serious." So I was like, "Whatever," and so we're there and we check in, and you know how we had Black Flag days, but this is where it settled in for me when I started having like dreams like while I'm there, and then sometimes I'd be all the way asleep, and then alarm went off and nobody got me. That's how the effect of being over there. But I remember the first day when it was March 8th, 2003.
Yeah.
And I forgot, it was around that time that the first missile hit right outside our base. And there was like a delayed entry or
There was no alarm.
yes, you remember that.
Oh,
And I
bro,
go,
that fucking thing was like boom, and then
yeah,
yeah. Then later, like maybe it was major delay. All of a sudden, then the alarm started going off. We're like, we're
yeah.
being attacked.
And we're like, we only built that for 25 people. Remember, like I was trying to tell Staff Sergeant Hill, there's no way if we sustain a hit and this is added shrapnel. I said, no, we shouldn't do it. He said, now. I said, okay. So we got the workers and I pulled them out. I was the only one there and everybody else was inside. And then, so I was out and I said, I ran right into that bunker, and so did the four workers, and they were crying like crazy, right? And then everybody runs in there without their uniforms on and getting in there, and there's some that had their gas mask and didn't have their weapons. So those who had their weapons had to. And Staff Sergeant made them give it up, so to protect. And then we'd spend endless days in there, and so that's
We
where it
slept
started.
in the freaking Scud bunker, bro.
Yes, sir.
So
And,
back up a little bit. Let's talk about building that son of a bitch. Because,
oh,
bro, I don't even think people have any clue how much we had to hand. I mean, we did a lot of with shovels, right?
yes,
Because they try to bring. We had the engineer guys. They try to bring over the tractor, scoop stuff,
yep,
but they kept getting stuck. Remember,
yep.
that was so freaking soft over there, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
any kind of tractors or anything that try to get over there would get stuck. And so
Mm-hmm.
we had to do a lot of that by hand. Now, do you remember the Air Force officer who ripped our ass because we used Air Force pallets, those
Oh,
big
I don't
metal
remember that
ones,
one, but
and we put them in there with the Texas barriers? Because first we built that hole, then we
mhm.
dropped in those like concrete Texas barriers is what they called them.
Yeah.
All right, and then after we had those, we were like, hey, let's double it up. So
Hmm.
we're like, we'll use those Air Force pallets. Remember those big metal ones that
Hmm.
and they had cargo on them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put those in the sides. Remember, they were kind of sticking up, and then we had to cover it. Well, as we were doing that, the Air Force officer came over and who is in charge right now? So we were like, Stassar Hill, like, and Stassar Hill knew we did this, right? Because he was like,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. I mean, he thought it was a great idea. And so, man, but at the end of the day, I think we had to pull them out, and
Hmm.
we didn't end up using them.
And we also didn't put any rocks inside that bunker because then he used these slip resistant mats that you can just more comfortable than rocks.
Yeah, and
And
do you remember filling sandbags?
I hated it. This is if it's my ticket to home, I'll do it, whatever it took. Cause
Oh gosh, sandbagging. I mean, that was rough, man, because we were doing sandbag after sandbag after sandbag.
mhm.
I mean, it became crazy, and people have no clue on how hot it was. I think while we were over there, we recorded maybe the top was like 136 degrees, something crazy, right? It was
And we
just
couldn't
hell,
go
dude.
outside once it hit above 95, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, we were supposed to be out there working for 10 minutes and then take like a 20-minute break or something.
yeah,
Yeah, that was how it was supposed to go. Did
yeah.
that really transpire that way?
No,
No.
no, we
No.
stayed our happy asses inside. Yeah, because it's like me. I mean, it started to settle in, and it was
Man,
like
people were
before.
starting to hide from there too, right? We'd
Yeah,
be out there and be like, hey, go get so and so. What are they doing? Like, everybody needs to be out here doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was our culture there, and we were, um,
here's our group, right? So
man.
we'll kind of go through a little bit of who we got going. So if you look all the way to the left, we got Stassar Hill, the buff dude. Now that
Yep.
guy was a bodybuilder, big
Chuck
guy.
Diesel looking
All right.
dude.
Now the guy that's right next to him is a small guy named Captain Cologne.
Yes.
Now we got a great story about him, and we'll talk about him as well. Then where we got Stassar, we know below that we got Sergeant Bell taking a knee, Ambrose, Martinez. I'm not quite sure because he wasn't a part of MHG. The guy that's next to Martinez. Up above there, all the way to the right top is it was Lieutenant Miller.
Yeah.
And we got some good
I forgot
stories
that
about
staff
him.
sergeant name. He was on the 3043 side.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Then there was the Gunny O.
No,
Gunny O.
me.
So right next to Lieutenant Miller is Gunny O. And then we got Funes right next to him in all black. Then there's me looking off in my badass pose. And then but right next to me, kind of behind me and between us is Rubicava. Then we got Jimenez. Behind Jimenez, that guy, the shorter guy, we got Parkman. And then we got Underberger right next to Parkman. And I can't tell who the rest are. I think those guys were all from it might be Stroud, huh? Yeah, that is Stroud.
And one of the guys that got caught up in the issue on the Before You Came, he is standing next to Stroud. I forgot. I think he was ended up marrying one of the warehouse gals on our side. It was I forgot her name, but they ended up getting married. So that was her husband over there too. So yeah, bring up a memory, and I think where we're getting to is Captain Cologne and another officer got in a fight outside our door, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And he was like
like when we say fight, it's hand to hand.
Yes.
And you guys saw Captain Cologne. Captain Cologne probably was like 5'6", 5'5", maybe.
Yes.
But dude, he was from the East Coast. He was he could fight. And from what I understood, he kind of handled it.
He did. I always had mad respect for you, sir, for what you just went through. Dude looked like he got jacked up big time. So I mean, but you can tell like it's that environment got to that level, but us, we were having fun. We would
we were a family at that point, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And he was upset with that guy for messing with us, right? Like,
correct.
He came over here messing with he ain't getting messed with my fucking Marines. Like, and he had our back, man. That's one thing I loved Captain Cologne. Dude was, definitely I had the utmost respect for him.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna remember this because I think you guys went to the Marriott in downtown Kuwait.
Oh, that was us. Yeah, bro. That was me. That was me that left the clip in there. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that good story.
That was crazy. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, go through the whole thing. You were with us on that one? Were you the other vehicle or no, you didn't go with us? You stayed back? Okay.
I stayed back.
Tell us from your perspective of what you heard go on and how it came through the line.
Oh, very simple. It was you left your weapon out, and then they thought it was a bomb. And
no, I had my clip. I had two. So when we would go into town, we took a 9mm
bring the
with us,
M9,
right? So I had put the 9mm with one clip already in it. Now I forgot to take out the second clip and put the second clip, in my, tuck it in, but it was left in the center console, and a bomb sniffing dog picked that up. Now, when you guys are back at Camp Commando, who gets worse, Stassar Hill right off rip? Because we had Meath with us. Stassar Meath was with us at the time, so he pretty much kind of knew the story, and we were trying to minimize it a little bit because I was like, I'm dead. I'm fucking dead.
I'm surprised they didn't do anything to you.
Nah, well, because we kept it pretty, we all had a
Low,
good story, and
low key.
we wrote it out, and it was all good at the end of the day. Everybody
I
kind of
could
ended up
have
finding
swore it
out.
ended up on the news for
It
some.
was, oh, bro, it became national news. Like
Yeah.
my family had heard about it, and then I
Hmm.
told them the story about it was me. It was
Yeah.
that was a crazy
Oh,
time, bro, because they blew the damn car up and everything.
yes.
They and if you remember, I was already kind of deemed as the bad luck guy on the vehicle because there's all these things going wrong with the vehicle. Remember one time the window just fell down as we are
Yeah.
driving, and we were trying to roll it up. It wouldn't roll up, and we're going through the dirt.
Yeah. Oh man, that was not the best times. We were always having breakdown of the forklift or that, and man,
Oh, getting pulled out
but
on those
but
forklifts time and time again.
but we somehow, some way bonded. All of us. We're like, we just went through something pretty gnarly, like we I don't know how we did it, but we I don't know, we did something where we had maybe water guns or something like that, and we
Yeah, we
were
were playing
playing
with the
like it
water.
was laser
Yeah.
tag or something like that, and we were just shooting at each other and stuff. We were just having fun. We also I remember one night, I don't know. I don't know if I want to ever go in a wrestling match with you or Ojeda. But man, we had a big old wrestle fest with the entire unit, and you guys were just handling everybody. I remember that.
Yeah, we were like the Bash Brothers, Ojeda and me, man. You know what I mean?
Smash Brothers. I don't know what you call. I mean, I don't want to. Here today, I don't. Don't mess with
Did you
those two.
go were you did you go back to the hooch when Martinez and me put on the gloves and fought in there?
No, I didn't, man.
Yeah.
But I know Casey and I had a little run in too. I didn't have no.
Uh,
We would talk our shit to each other, and then they said, whoever trained him to get him, he got back up to corporal, and I was corporal. I was more senior than he was because he got busted down, and then I got it corporal, and yeah, we had a little run in the
Yeah,
conic.
Casey and me had a couple run-ins ourselves. It took me a while to get used to
Yeah,
Casey, right? Because
yeah,
Casey kind of was an ass.
yeah,
But I ended up having a really good relationship with Casey at the end of the time. He was a good
yeah,
dude.
and
All of us. I
and
mean, honestly, and I think that deployment, like you said, bro, it really brought us all together, right? Because we all went
mhm,
through a lot of shit. We had to live in a bunker because we were constantly under the
is
threat of Scud missiles, and to the
mhm,
point where, like you said, some even hit the ground, and then we had Patriot missiles taking them out of the sky.
correct.
Felt like a motherfucking sitting duck a lot of the times. I felt like,
Yeah,
you know,
and I think about all the shenanigans and all the stuff we went through before we went to Kuwait, resolved that when we were in Kuwait, and
right?
set the path for, I remember transitioning back after that. I was like, they did a stop loss policy, then they lifted it. And I was like, I don't know if I don't think you're going to remember this, but I think you were driving. I don't know what kind of car you were driving, but you and I were crossing paths when we got back home, and we had just got back, and we just went through some really gnarly stuff, and all we did was like, "See you around, man." Didn't get to have the party like I wanted to when everybody left. And that's when it started to happen to me, like, I'd be waking up weird parts of the nights, and that transition and getting out of the military and all of that, and it kind of like, man, as dysfunctional as we were, we bonded, man. I love that. That's why
I
and
think dysfunctions sometimes make you bond. You know what I mean?
yes, I would trust us more than I would trust our leaders,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and so
I know we all
uh,
felt that way though.
that's something like, hey, we sorted our stuff out like men, handled our business, man, instead of just like threatening each other or doing this. Let's
We
just
did a
handle
lot of
it.
in-house. We took a lot of it
Whoa,
in-house, bro.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Some of us could have probably been in bigger trouble
yep.
had we allowed to get outside of our unit. But yeah, we had one thing about us is we were very cohesive, especially after we deployed with
Absolutely.
each other. And yeah, that was the hard part, bro. When we all were getting out, like even myself, when I was getting out, people were still
Mhm.
deploying, and didn't even get that chance to say goodbye to a lot
No,
of people when we were checking out, right? Because
yeah,
a lot of us were still either deployed, or as we were coming back, they were getting ready to leave to get deployed.
yeah.
All that time
And
frame was a lot of just coming and going.
that changed me because before getting out, I was like, I could see my life surrounded by the Marine Corps, but then the desert changed that, man. I value my life, and I ultimately had a choice, three choices, and a lot of life happened after I made this choice. And I said, you can be a grunt or you can be a cook, because they phased out our position, our warehouse, to go to the civil service. And so I was like, or just be a regular citizen once again. And I wasn't ready for that. I was trying to build my life around San Diego and the Marines. It didn't work out that way. I loved it down there, our unit. And a part of me still lives in San Diego,
Oh
in that
yeah.
area. It will always be there. I mean, I feel like I'm home every time
I'm
I go
going
away.
there, dude, not to rub it in or nothing, but in the next couple of
Uh-oh.
days, staying in Oceanside. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
for the weekend.
Right
Just
on.
came out of there too. I honestly want to live there and retire
Yeah.
there eventually one point. Cause yeah, bro, it was a big part of our life,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful place.
It is. And so that experience kind of laid a foundation for me, like lesson learned, because it took me 11 years to find permanent full-time employment. I was transitioning through um, jobs, relationships, and financial disparity, and having issues, and then
Pretty much,
part,
damn near that's the story of like
eh,
probably 7 out of 10 Marines, if not more.
yeah.
I mean, it's a common story. Probably not even just for Marines, but veterans in general.
Yeah, and it was like, and I think back to my father, how long it took him. It took him 7 years. It took me 11 years to find permanent full time. And then it started with a little bit of optimism, that I had when I was in Kuwait. Like, I was writing my life's obituary, like I want, or life story. If I survived, this is what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to live a life more fulfilling than this experience. And take the many lessons that I learned out of that, going to work on time instead of getting, Staff Sergeant Meath and Sergeant Hill coming into my room, like,
Yeah.
okay, how many times was I late for PT, right? That's a lesson learned, right? Showing up on time. And all those things about, how Staff Sergeant Hill would always tell us, be safe out there. And then dealing with our working in that environment, in the safety environment in the warehouse, we have to make sure we get regular predictable training, all of that. There's a lot of lessons to be learned. But then I got to a point, I still have it. I got to find it. I wrote my wedding plans. I got to tell you about that coming up. I got to tell you about my career. I'll tell you that in a second. But I was just like, I needed to go back to the place of security blanket within my employment. And how was I going to do that with the lack of experience out there? And for me, it was very tough as a veteran to go through. I went through, bad relationships that ripped me in two. And I went through that choices financially, spending money on this way, or, I didn't get involved in any drugs, but it was choices of, getting into debt that led me to do other things. And then I said, I got to change this, man. I got to get out of this. And I was going to get treatment for the VA for my experience in Kuwait. Because I was telling you, it started to settle in. Like when we were there, like I'd be missing alarms when we were there. But then when I transitioned just out of leaving Camp Commando, it's being late to PT, and they understood that, right? Meath and Hill understood that, and they didn't penalize me as much as they did before, right? So I had a choice of whether I should take medication or not, and I chose not to, and then that stopped my treatment for that going through the VA. The most that I got was like 10%, right? And then I said, man, I got it because of my skin. And, Sergeant Hill was steady messing with me when I was in. Oh, the PFB and all that. So I was like, wow. I was like, okay. And then I had, my mom and dad, I lived with them and was in and out, and then I needed to really get on my own, and I got on a Section 8. I mean, I was at the lowest of the low, like, but I was grateful of the opportunity, to get into that. My veterans preference allowed me to have that benefit for a while. But I wanted more than that, and I had to really ask for help by when I hit my rock bottom financially. I said, I want to improve on that, and I want to find an employer to devote my all and all that. I mean, it was like, yeah, I really want to get out there and bust my ass, but it's hard as a veteran to prove yourself if you don't have that experience, or if you're exhibiting these, behaviors that are struggles of communication and dealing with addiction, or dealing with relationships and jobs and all the stuff that every veteran deals with. But I said, wow. So it took me, I remember it, it's July 2013. I had just finished working at the IRS as a seasonal clerk, and that is like my first step in touching working with the government in such a long time, 10 years, right? I said, I really love it. And then everything changed, and I got intentional, and I looked at my wallet and I said, I have nothing left. I have nothing. I need to change that. And so, you know, the frequency of interviews that I've had since 2013 versus before that changed. And now I said I would never take another seasonal job. And there I am taking one with the state of California. And there's my break, right? And then I just promoted, got used to not the federal civil service. The federal civil service was a small 3-month short time experience, but then the experience at the state allowed me as a veteran to lay the foundation for where I wanted to go with my career. And 11 years later, still going strong, no break in service. Am I showing up on time? Yes. Am I being stern and firm about where I'm at? Absolutely, on safety. Because I started as a seasonal clerk, and then I moved up, and I got to understand how, what I needed to do. And I said, well, I think I know what I can do with my gift and my knowledge and my wisdom that I experienced after getting out of the militaries to help those veterans out there that are struggling to get in. And I have been doing that on the side. And just, I want to be able to say a message out there to them is, don't count yourself out if you're having hard time at work, or you need to find a job that you can get in. Talk to me, man. That's what I'm doing. And I want to be able to help those veterans that are transitioning out to be able to get into something after the military, because they do take care of you once you get in. And I use a veterans preference to claim how it works is you go, okay, I want to claim veterans preference. I can claim about 15%. So if you scored 75 on an exam, you add the 15-point kicker, you're automatically in rank 1, and so it increases your chances of getting an interview or getting called. So that's just what I learned about it, right? And to perfect their way. If some veterans are struggling in their interviews, hey, call me, man. I'll help you out with that. I don't care. I want to be able to leave this world in a better place than when I came into it, as far as after the Marines. And man, all the resources out there, and say, hey, there's workforce boards out there that you can get involved with. You can ask those experienced for help, that like I did, and get out there and make your way. And I've seen a lot of veterans that have served. The one thing is they said, man, this has been my saving grace. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that experience in the military. So what I would say is, where I'm at now, I am started as a seasonal clerk, and now I'm a building manager, which is pretty awesome. And I'm in charge of, you know, administrative responsibilities, trades, security, and custodial operations where I work at. And I give thanks to my experience in the military. But my life took a different turn with all of that, right? I dealt with the adversity of losing my grandma, mother, and father in that same suite. And I just became a manager in 2021, and um, I'm very much close to my family outside of this. I spend every bit of time. So, what I would say to any of the veterans out there struggling with loss, make sure you get out there and talk to people. Make sure you can have a shoulder to cry on, because I can tell you, I wouldn't be anywhere without having my friends and family like you, Roof, talk about the situation. And I shared to you what was going on, and now where I'm at now is not only take care of myself but take care of my family, and it hit me hard. It hit me hard. My grandma. Um, Loved her to death, but she passed due to COVID. And I flew out to North Carolina. And then the same year, November 28th, 2022, my father passed, and that hit me hard too. Um, I think back to all the lessons that he gave me, and it's still living through me. And try to impart that with my niece and nephew. And then earlier this year, my mom passed. So um, it's very hard. Right now, I'm still going through the thick of it. I'm excited about all of this stuff, getting to see you and all that, um, but I'm not gonna lie, it's impacted me, right?
Yeah.
But I'm thankful, even before this, you had the time to talk to me about that, and I share with you what's going on. So,
Right.
me, I'm being transparent with my feelings and where I'm at, and I would say to anybody going through tough times is, especially the veterans out there, is don't hesitate to ask for help. And I'm going to be the first one to say, yeah, hey, I recognize that something's not going right with me. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to ask for help. And something like this is very motivating to see what you've built, Bryan, with all of this. And then I was really inspired. And when I saw Grossy, I said, I have to get on here and talk about my story behind the story, because everybody had a different path after we left. But I'm glad that we're still connected, and that we have you as this as a resource. And but yeah, I mean, that's my life, and like the last 21 years since leaving, and it's been up and down, but more up now, and you have your downs, and when you're down, talk to somebody, reach out and get the help that you need. Don't be afraid to ask for that, because man, with what I know now, I'm sharing my wisdom with most of the veterans that need help with getting into the job force, and helping them out because they struggled like me. So that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. And I mean, it's good for you to come out and talk about your story, bro. Like, because
Hmm.
a lot of us went through it all the same way, maybe not exactly
Hmm.
how you experienced it, but to some form, some fashion, a lot of us do go through it to some degree, right? And we
Hmm.
experience things that we're not used to, because we had when you're in the military, kind of everything's laid out for you, right? You know when
Hmm.
your paydays are. Yeah, you
Yeah.
always can bank on that payday. You always were told where you needed to be and when. and how to do your whatever they needed you to do, and what they
Mm-hmm.
wanted you, expectations were always laid out, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Then you get out, and you don't have as much of that support group either that you had when you were in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Each other, because we're all far away. And I think when we all kind of get out, especially a lot of us in the earlier 2000s, we didn't have as good as the social media world and all that kind of stuff really wasn't
Mm-hmm.
existent. And it was very unique at the time, dude, because we were, like I said earlier, we were all doing a lot of rotating. It was
Mm-hmm.
people getting deployed out to over to Kuwait or to Iraq, and then guys coming back, people going out on leave, people,
Mm-hmm.
because at that point in time, at the end of our time around the 2004 era, things were different for the military,
Mm-hmm.
for all of it, because there was, even base was really weird to be on base, because it was very ghost town, because there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of skeleton crews left there just
Yeah.
to kind of take care of the rear stuff, but a lot of people got deployed. So going to like the PXs and all the places on base, it was kind of weird, when I came back and
Mm-hmm.
remembering, like, trying to settle back in, like, wow, where's
Mm-hmm.
everybody? Yeah, that's right, everybody's gone, and everything
Mm-hmm.
was so different when we came back.
It was, and it was like, I think probably maybe the best life lesson that I could have ever gotten. I think I would not have become the man that I am today without having gone through that experience in the Marine Corps. Kept me
Right.
level headed, right? And then maybe the lesson that I took out of this, and maybe for Marines before, you know, when they get out, before they get out, is start thinking about that plan for the future.
Plan
Um,
yeah, I think
Planning.
planning is huge, right?
Yeah.
And you need to start planning kind of almost like probably like a year to 2 years before you get out, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of start laying down that line. I mean, I couldn't agree with Bryan more on that, because I think that's where a lot of guys fail right off rip, is they don't have a plan, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they just know they want to get out, but when they get out, they don't know what they're going to do. And sometimes in the military, some of the jobs that you choose, it doesn't translate very well into
Mm-hmm.
civilian world. Lucky
Correct.
for us, we kind of could use warehousing and things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
towards a job. That's why I got fortunate enough when I got out to land a job in aerospace
Mm-hmm.
right away. And if I did not have my experience, and not to mention, I think, my two managers were both
Mm-hmm.
Marines, and talking to me about Vietnam and all this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah. I think we talked
Mm-hmm.
more about the Marines than actual job.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. They take care. It's like it's a real thing, and it's hard for I'm going to tell you, my struggle was real getting out, but part of that for me was self-imposed. But then I just started asking for help. Well, right when I got out, and I asked the right people, and they led me in the right direction. So, for me, I want to share that with everybody, that it's okay. Get out there, ask for help when you need it. And if you're in transition, call me. If you're going to have a seminar about people wanting to go get into state service, I don't mind spending the time to tell the veteran about it. Because
right.
actually, I met a veteran not too long ago, and he's young and he's getting out. He was a 311, but he wants to get changed that. He still wants to be able to, excuse me, do some sort of law enforcement work in the civil side. So
Right.
hey, that's good, because I told him about my story too. I just long-winded story, sorry story. I made it happen, and it feels good now to know that I have something that I can wake up to every day and say I'm proud of what I've accomplished in this amount of time. Because man, if I didn't, where would I be from the moment that I got out and didn't want to do anything, and free falling and all of that. And I decided I wanted something better for my life. And how it's going to be able to provide for my family that I've taken on. So yeah, this was really cool.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you coming on, brother. You know,
Yeah.
and I always got your six, you know that, and I'm
Hmm.
always a phone call away, always a
Likewise.
year away, and we're actually he's Northern California, I'm Southern California, so
Yeah.
we can meet somewhere in the middle. But
Fresno or something.
right,
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot to tell you this. Maybe this is an opportunity for us. And I told you I was going to talk about, hey, when my father's health took a turn for the worse, that same year I proposed to my fiance, Angela. And
yeah,
now we're getting married August 31st. And I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be doing,
Congrats, bro.
yeah, thank you. And I pushed it aside for a little bit, but, she's been my rock ever since I've been going through this. And I am doing my bachelor's party down in Catalina Islands, and you're invited.
All right, well, shoot, man, shoot me that invite so we can make sure we lock it in, make
Yeah,
sure
we
we
get
got everything
Ojeda
lined
down
up.
there in Grothy too, so
Yeah.
it'd be
Oh yeah. I
well.
don't know if you really want all of us there at the same time, that might be a little bit of a hangover experience. And
Oh,
like, oh
like our
shit,
our
where
buddy
he's late
Phil.
for his own wedding.
Oh, he was being funny. I don't want to get the divorce before the marriage happens.
Yeah, we'll make sure that doesn't happen though.
But it'd be good. It'd be good to really catch up.
Absolutely.
And I'll let you know the details. I mean, this is a couple of my friends that I've grown to love up here. I'd like for you to meet them. I think it's keep it PG-13 for now. Let's do that. But I'll let you know the dates. I don't know what your availability is. We're looking at like sometime around June, end of June, early July or second week of July.
Yeah,
So I'll
just
let you know.
shoot me details, man. I'll talk to the boss and see what my itinerary is like. Cause usually my itinerary is given to me. You know what I
Uh-oh.
mean? So,
Uh-oh.
well, it's not because of anything other than I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time, so I need direction. You know.
Oh, no, no, no worries. I respect that. That's
Uh,
you got to take
uh,
that queen, man. So,
yeah, you'll be
uh,
learning about that life real soon. Happy
oh,
wife, happy life, bro. It's just a
yes,
thing,
sir. That's what
uh,
it's all about.
do you
Uh,
have any last words, last thoughts for everybody?
um, yeah, just when you're feeling down and out, reach out to somebody. Be transparent about your feelings, what you're feeling. I think that's the only way we can all evolve from our situation. I heard my story, but at the same time, those veterans that are struggling out there, talk to somebody, reach out to your buddy, your battle buddy, talk to them. And then from a career standpoint, look at my example too, is make it worthwhile to put in the investment into. If you need help with that, help. I'm a phone call away, but at the same time, if I could sum it up, is when you're getting ready to leave, for those veterans that hear this, is plan for the future, whether that's staying in the military or getting out. There's resources out there that can help you get to that next step in your career. I want to see you succeed. I want you to go home safe to your family. Thank you for your time, Mr. Roof.
Thank you, brother. Well,
Her.
just hold tight back there in the waiting room. You can eat all the crayons you want, and just hold tight. We'll make sure we got the recording. But thanks again, brother.
All right.
All right, friends and fam. Well, guess what? That wraps up another great interview. That dude right there is another, one of my brothers from another mother. I love having guys that I served with on the show. It's always a great time. If you would like to be a part of the show, shoot me an email. Every day is a Saturday, 365 at yahoo.com. Come on, tell your story. Don't be afraid. No one bites. Just a little bit, maybe. But hey, once again, I thank you all. Don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Till next time. Arr.